Welcome to
All
take
right.
three.
Welcome to take three. If there's a take four, we're going to give up. You won't hear any of this. Just to let everyone know that's listening to this. Welcome to Anime Fix, by the way. Um, on take one, we found out that Anime Fix is our second, well, if you can count it as our second name for this. And then we also discussed that that Lance is chasing the fix of Your Name, the movie anime wise. But all that's in the past, and no one's ever going to hear it because it's deleted now. Anyways, this is Anime Fix, episode one. This is a podcast by Lance and myself, Chase. We will be talking about anything and everything anime wise, and hopefully we'll get to a point where we can start keeping up to date on new episodes coming out. But right now, there's tons of anime already out there, right? So we're going to go through and probably do one podcast episode per anime. But this one is just getting our backgrounds of myself and Lance, and also talking about how we got introduced to anime for the third time, third take, and then also, you know, what we grew up with it. I went first the first two, so that was, not a good idea. So I'll have Lance go first and tell his story for the third time again. Go ahead, Lance.
Sure. So when I was growing up, I knew plenty of people who watched anime. Usually it was Dragon Ball Z or Pokemon, and I occasionally watched Pokemon, but it was never something I interested in. Took very seriously. I always considered it good background entertainment, but not something that I would, in my free time, just sit and enjoy. Then a few years ago, when I met my fiance, the subject of anime came up, and I told her how I just can't do it. The big expressive faces and eyes that just pop out of the head, all that stuff. It wasn't very appealing to me. And she goes, "Oh well, what animes do you know?" And I said, "Well, Pokemon and Dragon Ball Z." And she goes, "Oh well, let me show you something really cool." And we sat down and we watched Madoka Magica. And I think that was the first time that was the first time that I realized there was something more to anime than what I had previously thought of as just a cartoon. That some interesting storytelling elements could be explored there that otherwise you might not see in traditional media. And I for sure hadn't seen in traditional media. If in case we talk about it later, I won't go too deep into Madoka Magica, but when you tell people, when I start telling people about it, the premise, they're instantly turned off by it. But what they don't understand is you have to get to like halfway through the season, and once you see like the darker elements of it, you go, oh, this is crazy. Like this is way more involved than I thought it was, and they're going a direction that you wouldn't anticipate. So that was my first real
Bro,
experience with that.
there's so many animes like that. You have to get halfway through, and then it just gets like either super dark or super serious, and like you think you're watching like a kid show, and then all of a sudden
Yeah,
it does like a 180, and you're like, so Madoka Magica is like that.
yeah. So I'll just say the premise is it's
You do the
about
premise,
magic.
yeah, because I know nothing about this anime.
The premise of Madoka Magica, for my baby experience, is it's about magical girls uh,
Oh, I'm already
fighting.
in. Sign me
Yeah,
up. Sign
it's
me up.
about magical girls. Yeah, and and then they fight bad guys, and so like you think, oh, that's cute, but it's really not cute. It's really kind of messed up, especially once you find out. Yeah. Anyway, I don't want to go too deep into it, but yeah, it's
And
about
Tori
magical
introduced
girls.
you to this anime.
Yes.
Your fiance
Hmm?
seems kind of up her alley. That's fine.
But she got me hooked. Like that was and
That's
so
awesome though. As long as you got you hooked, that's all there is to it. I'm happy that you are in the world of anime, and I'm happy that I can not necessarily be your guide for it, but like be the little bit more experienced friend, kind of like lifting, where like
yeah.
like your trainer, like getting you into it. I'm happy to be that guy, and my main happiness as far as like having other people like look at the joy of anime and like coming along that ride is like seeing like your reaction and like talking about it. So that's why, and so the reason this podcast came of fruition was mostly because me and Lance always talk on weekends already because I have really long drives for my work, and I recently started taking Sunday Mondays off. So I was thinking on Sundays we can still have our long hour talks in the morning if I wake up. That was on take one, by the way. If I wake up, but those long talks, why not just record it? Because we're talking about anime anyways, right? So
Yeah.
that's where that came from. But Madoka Magica, gotta watch it. That sounds the whole premise. Those 3 words, magical girls, or 2 words. Sign me up.
Yeah. It's pretty awesome.
Um,
So yeah, going on from there. I'll keep this short, but going on from there, it was kind of whenever someone would say, "What about this anime?" I say, if it's not like this, I'm like Madoka Magica, because that's my real first positive experience with it. I didn't want to have anything of it, and so over time, I've opened up and tried new things and explored. But um, yeah, I think this year we're going to talk about Your Name, but Your Name is what really got me, I think, really hooked.
Really
And
hooked.
this is like high quality. I want this, more of this, and so
Yeah.
I'm
And you
super
haven't found
excited.
haven't found your fix or your high since then, right?
No, so yeah, of all the ones we've watched since then, there's so much good stuff out there. But I think, like when I think about it, when I think about getting that fix, it's what's going to give me that same sort of like gut punch, but that same sort of just very visceral emotional experience, right?
Yeah,
Like
man.
something like I'm not a very outwardly emotional person. I'm pretty reserved guy. So I really enjoy entertainment or content or whatever that can kind of help bring that part of me out that I so
Yeah.
generally don't experience or don't express. And so
Yeah.
I found a lot of good ones. That one just really just dug the knife in deep and just
Yep.
ripped it out of me. So
Totally, man. I mean,
yeah.
I'm kind of the same way. Like you, I don't think you would think this, but like I'm also a person that doesn't show his emotions very often. But I like that's why I like anime so much because it brings out those emotions, and makes them come to fruition and actually make me sounds very depressing, but make me feel things where I usually don't feel that kind of stuff. Um, but I also have a family, so like that's been helping me, express my feeling emotions more on as well. But uh, you're watching and stuff like that right now because you're watching some other animes, right?
So right now we haven't watched in a while. We were watching. Um, we finished The Way of the House
Oh, okay.
Husband,
Yeah,
season one of that. Yeah, which was
hit and miss.
good. I have some. Yeah, hit or miss. I have some opinions, but overall it was good. It was a good watch. Um, and then what else were we watching? We were watching Seven Deadly Sins for a minute.
Yeah.
We're kind of behind. I'm only in season one right now. I think we've only gotten through season one or like this to the start of season two. But and and I'll say this: if I had watched Seven Deadly Sins before Madoka Magica, I probably wouldn't have liked it because of my initial uh, prejudice, or not prejudice, but dislike or disinterest.
Wait,
Because a lot
you
of
wouldn't like Seven Deadly Sins, or you wouldn't like Madoka Magica?
no, if I had watched Seven Deadly Sins before Madoka Magica, like if I would have probably thought of it in the same vein as Dragon Ball Z.
Okay, makes sense. Yeah, I
Yeah,
mean, it's definitely a shonen anime for sure. Do you know
yeah,
the difference
and
between
so
shonen and shoujo, by the way?
don't.
Okay, we'll get into that later as well. Go ahead and finish your sentence. My bad.
Um, yeah, I probably wouldn't have liked Seven Deadly Sins or enjoyed watching it if I had watched it before Madoka Magica. Um, that's the other thing too. Some things that I previously probably wouldn't have considered because I've been opening up and trying different animes. Like, now I'm giving something like Seven Deadly Sins a chance, and I can appreciate it for what it is. Whereas for that, I would not have given it the time of day.
Totally understandable. I mean, Seven Deadly Sins definitely follows a shonen trope of um, not necessarily because it doesn't focus on one main character. I mean, there's Meliodas, which is kind of the main character, but they have a slew of other characters. It more follows like a Black Clover or like a Naruto because it doesn't focus on just one person, kind of like Dragon Ball Z with Goku. But there is a main character, but there's also a lot of other characters that are really fleshed out and actually bring stuff to the story instead of just being stupid side characters.
Yeah. Yeah, and that's the other thing too that really like every and this I saw this a lot in Pokemon. At the end of every season, like tune in next week for what happens to all
Yep.
these characters. Come on, can't you just have a complete story? Let me walk away from it. No, you're trying to
And do you
get
think
out of
that's
here.
also the reason why you like anime movies more? Because you don't have to stay tuned for next week, or you don't have to like sit through 20 episodes to get your story.
Yeah, because they're like bite sized. It's almost like the way they're produced. It's like they're bite sized experiences, and they're done. And then you have to tune in. I like kind of like a standalone story. I like to have a beginning, a middle, and an end, and then walk away from it, and then kind of like kind of side do a twist away. I'm a big fan of the Last of Us video game, and what I really like about that is it gave me this very depth experience, and I was able to walk away from it and like chew on it and think about it and contemplate it and just
Yeah.
and kind of relive some of the moments through my head. And ultimately, it kept me more back to that game later. I like animes that will do that. Will kind of give me something to walk away from it with, so that way I have a reason to come back later to try and discover something new or see a scene in a new way after I've had a chance to think about it. Versus
Yeah.
the series type thing where it's just I don't have a chance there because the story's never complete.
Yeah. But do you think like once we start watching animes that are like the animes that have new episodes every week, do you think that you're gonna have more invested and be more involved because you have time to stew on it for like a week?
Possible. Again, I'm opening up to new things that otherwise I
Yep.
previously I wouldn't have. So yeah.
Yeah, I mean, you're brand new into the world of anime. Not brand new, but like you've been recently getting a lot more into anime, mostly because I keep suggesting animes to you for to watch. Um, and that comes full circle, I guess, to my background with anime, because I've been into anime like super big as far as like Dragon Ball Z goes in like middle school. But I would say the last 3, 4 years recently, I've been watching a ton of anime. When I met my now wife, like 6 years ago, she was also really big into anime as well. And she introduced me to, because I was all about the shonen trope. And shonen is actually more action, not a lot of like romantic stuff. It's mostly like big fight scenes, flashy, popping eyes, kind of like what Lance, wasn't really invested or attracted to for anime. Or shoujo anime, which is what my wife is really into, is more of the romantic, story driven animes that sometimes have fight scenes, but it's mostly focused on the story and then the interactions between of characters, and that's what she really likes. And to be honest with you, the more I delve into my anime world and looking at anime, I'm starting to like shoujo more, just because it's more story driven, and I like the interactions of the characters, and it's more emotional instead of like, hey, Goku's still powering up for 20 episodes. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So that's just my thought on that, but and I think eventually you'll be that way as well, because there's tons of like romantic animes that when I first started watching them with my wife, I was like, why are we watching this? We could watch Black Clover or Naruto or something like that. But like Toradora, amazing story, amazing like romantic like comedy aspect. And then there's just so many more on the table, like the ones that we've been watching. Charlotte, if Madoka Magica is like halfway through, you get to that point, Charlotte will blow your mind. I'll tell you that right now. Charlotte is
Okay.
amazing. It's just a 180. I'm sitting there like, I thought this is a completely different anime from when it started. Um,
Yeah.
and then after, well, going back to, I'm rambling a bit, but going back to middle school, Dragon Ball Z, and then when I get to high school, obviously, there's a lot more culture because I went to a private school in middle school. So when I went to high school, it was a public school. Um, Anime wasn't like as big as it is now, but it was more accepting than my private school. So I started getting into uh, oh, What was some other ones? I didn't really get into One Piece. I hated Naruto when I was growing up. I'm watching it right now, but I hated Naruto growing up because it was either DBZ or Naruto. You couldn't like both. And obviously I was Dragon Ball Z all the way, so I didn't even give Naruto a chance, but it's doing way better now, as far as like me giving it a chance because I'm more open minded and everything now. But what's some of the other animes that I watched in high school that were really good? Um, I liked Afro Samurai was really good. Gundam, I watched that a lot. Um, but gosh, now I think about it, my high school days were very blurry because like the ones I started when I really, really got into it was like the 4 years ago when I was watching, um, you know, Demon Slayer, watching Tokyo Ghoul. That was crazy. Um, and then Black Clover, all the like super hyped ones like Jujutsu Kaisen right now, but shoujo wise, like Fruit Baskets is really good. I haven't finished that yet. Domestic Girlfriend sounds like an awful title, kind of raunchy, but really good. I like it. Um, Toradora is also really good. There's just tons of anime that we can, keep going and discuss as well. But I think when I first really started getting anime in the shoujo genre is when I met my wife, 6 years ago. So that's just my backstory in that, and then, but yeah.
It's you mentioned you brought up Tokyo Ghoul, and that is a kind of a detour from something I said previously, whereas like I like standalone experiences to walk away from. Tokyo Ghoul was a series you introduced me to
Yeah.
that I absolutely loved, and I get and back to it now. The only reason why it was a standalone experience for me is because it was already complete.
Yep.
Yeah, so I
You didn't
got
have to
to
wait.
like I didn't have to wait for episode after episode, but that was one that I was really fascinated by too. The character interaction, sort of the dynamic between the ghouls and the humans, and it really, what does it mean? Like, because of the main character, what does it mean to be a ghoul? What defines
Yeah.
that person? So,
Do you think like, and obviously we'll go more on topic with this when we start talking about Tokyo Ghoul, but do you think what does it mean to be a ghoul and what does it mean to be a human kind of ties into like the social like stuff going on at the moment of like what does it mean to, or like like what does it mean
well,
to be that race or this race and stuff like that,
maybe not directly tie in. I think it does tie. I wouldn't say it ties into race per se. I think it does tie into groupthink though. Like
Groupthink?
because you said how you were either Dragon Ball Z or Naruto, and those
Yeah.
two groups couldn't mix. I think it ties into like when you get into like your uh, echo chamber and with other people like you, and don't
Yeah.
step outside of that. You can start to believe
Yeah.
that, oh, we don't talk to those groups of people, and eventually, or maybe not ever, you never know why. You just know
Yep.
that they're bad and you should stay away from them. And so I think
Well, that makes sense. Yeah.
talk and that and to an extent that can shoot off into, but yeah, groupthink I think is the big focus of what that theme ties into.
Yeah. Yeah, I can definitely see that having like a fixed mindset and stuff.
Hmm. And which makes the main character so unique is because he's representative of
Of both.
both groups, and so it's like he has that perspective where he can, he was a human, became a ghoul. Big spoilers, but I mean,
Yeah.
it's been
Yeah, big
episode
spoilers.
1. Yeah. But he was a human, became a ghoul, and then now he's got to live both those worlds, and so it's kind of like ideal for being able to bring them all together, which is what eventually happens at the end.
Yeah. He's just the bridge pretty much for the whole
Yeah.
thing, and we can go into tons of stuff about Tokyo Ghoul too. If you like Tokyo Ghoul and then you don't like waiting for each episode as well, I think Attack on Titan actually just finished, so you might like that.
On Titan has been in my orbit
Watch
for
list.
my
Yeah.
watch list for a while. Yeah, it's very interesting, and I think like not so much the animation, but well, it is the animation, but like the distinct, like the monsters. I don't know what they are yet, so like,
Yep,
big
you'll
ignorance here.
find out in
But
episode 1.
yeah, yeah. But like the way the different monsters have, they don't all look the same. Like, they're unique in their own way, and just the idea of this world kind of living in this enclosed city, trying to keep those creatures out. I don't know. It's a kind of a very post-apocalyptic, unique storyline that looks
Yeah.
fascinating in the short clips I've seen on YouTube. So
Yeah, I think you'll
um,
really like that. And then I actually haven't finished it either, so I still have to see how it ends as well. But I think it's coming a little bit closer. I don't know how long we've been talking for, but after 3 takes, I think we're closer to like 30 minutes in my opinion, but I'm not sure.
okay.
But because the wife just got home, so I'm gonna have to head out
Okay.
here shortly.
Do.
But the next time we talk, we both have a lot of notes on your name, and we can start going over that. This is more of just an introductory to who Lance and I are, and then also
Extended trailer, if you will.
extended trailer. I like that. We'll name it extended trailer, and then hopefully I won't drop the ball on the whole recording aspect of it. But this has been Anime Fix with Lance and Chase, and we'll see you next time.
Bye.